Welcome to Brain Food Bytes. My name is Dan Mayo. I'm a partner with the accounting firm of Witham, Smith & Brown. I work in New Jersey, but spend most of my time dealing with the employee retention credit on a national basis these days. We're here today to talk about some updates to the employee retention credit. Let's start back with what happened most recently in July of 2024. The IRS issued 28,000 disallowance notices for ERC claims that have not been paid. The notices were based on information within the IRS's possession. So we're advising taxpayers to look at their own facts and determine whether the IRS is correct in its assessment, because most likely they're not correct. Again, the IRS does not have full information on the basis for the claim, but the denials that the IRS has been issuing range from the taxpayer is not engaged in a trade or business, the taxpayer does not have governmental orders to support its claim, the taxpayer does not meet the significant decline in gross receipts test, or for example, the taxpayer was not a recovery startup business. Again, we want to stress that the IRS is basing the disallowances on information solely within its possession, which is partial and incomplete. So it is likely to be incorrect in many cases. So we're advising all clients to speak with a trusted advisor, verify the accuracy of their claim, and decide if they want to file a protest against that letter that was issued to them. Some of the letters the IRS issued contained a paragraph explaining that taxpayers have 30 days to file a protest if they disagree with the letter. Other letters did not indicate that they had a right to file a protest. They indicated solely that the taxpayer's remedy was to file a refund lawsuit in court. The IRS has since made it clear that all of the disallowance notices will be entitled to administrative protest rights within the IRS, and that the corrective letters will be issued to affected taxpayers. The IRS also indicated it's going to begin processing 50,000 eligible ERC claims that it believes are eligible for the credit, and that it'll begin processing and issuing checks in the coming weeks. So many taxpayers who are calling up and asking, where's my refund? The answer is the check may be in the mail shortly. Some of those claims are post-moratorium, meaning that they were filed after September 14th, 2023. And also the IRS imposed another limitation that they're going to process claims after September 14th, but before January 31st, 2024. The reason I think they're stopping at that January 31st date is because of the proposed legislation that was issued this past January that would have cut off the ERC filing date at January 31st of this year. I guess the IRS is still hopeful that that legislation may pass at some point, which is why I think they're processing claims only up until that January 31st date. I also want to focus on another significant development, which is that on August 15th, the IRS announced that it is engaging a limited reopening of the Voluntary Disclosure Program. Some people call this VDP2. If you recall, the first Voluntary Disclosure Program was announced in November or December last year, and it closed on March 22nd of 2024. The limited reopening of the VDP will begin August 15th of 2024 and end November 22nd, 2024. So taxpayers have a few months to file an application for entry into the VDP if they believe that they have a non-willful claim and they want to return the money. The terms of the VDP2 are very similar to VDP1. The key difference is that taxpayers are allowed to retain 15% of the ERC instead of 20%. So the program is slightly less generous in VDP2 than it was in VDP1. All other terms remain the same, meaning that the 15% that's retained will be tax-free. The taxpayer will not need to file amended income tax returns. No penalties will apply, and no interest will apply to the underpayment as long as the full payment is made by the time the taxpayer signs a closing agreement as part of the VDP application process. I do want to mention, however, though, even though there is that date of November 22nd that taxpayers have to apply for VDP2, the IRS also announced that they're going to issue another 30,000 ERC denial letters in the fall. And so those ERC denial letters will be issued to claims that have already been paid. And we expect that the IRS is going to use the same filters for these 30,000 letters that it used for the last bucket of 28,000 letters. But the important thing here is if the taxpayer receives one of these letters, the IRS stated that they will not be eligible to participate in the limited reopening of the VDP, or what I've called VDP2. So keep in mind, even though there is a few months to apply for VDP2, if a taxpayer does receive one of the notices, they will be foreclosed from applying to the program. So you might want to talk to your clients sooner rather than later if they're thinking about applying under the VDP program. My name is Dan Mayo, and thank you for paying attention and watching this Brain Food Bites, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.